All right, everybody, welcome to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio. Nuggets and Mavs just wrapped up down in Ball Arena. Another just really disappointing loss for the Denver Nuggets as they fall to the Mavericks. 131-121 is your final at Ball Arena. Just, this stretch for the Nuggets, this is their fourth straight home loss. And I got to tell you, these are bad home losses for the Denver Nuggets. There's so much to get into with the game itself. Obviously, Spencer Jones was phenomenal tonight. Would definitely want to get into the job he did, but these home losses are just completely unacceptable. I mean, here's the home losses so far on the season, everybody. Chicago at home, you gave up 130 points to Chicago. Then you give up 128 to the Sacramento Kings in a home loss. Then they give up 139 to the Spurs last Friday night. And then tonight you give up 131 to the Dallas Mavericks. Just unacceptable losses for the Denver Nuggets. I know they've got injuries right now. Jamal Murray went out with a right ankle sprain in tonight's game, came back in the second half, tried to give it a go. He just didn't look right. And then he was out for the game. And I might credit Jamal for at least trying to come back from that hurt ankle. But man, these are bad losses for the Denver Nuggets. Bad losses for this team. So look, they've got to be able to figure this thing out. They're a good basketball team. I know they're injured, but they've got the best player on the planet. And he did everything he could tonight to try to will this team to a win. And they simply couldn't get the job done. Cam Johnson, whole lot of nothing tonight. He's been really good since he's come back from the bicep injury, but tonight it looked like the Cam Johnson of, the first 5, 6, 7 games of the season. He wasn't effective really at all tonight. Just 1 of 6 from 3, 3 of 10 from the field, and 10 points in a game where, like I said, Jamal Murray goes out. These are games where Cam Johnson really has to step up, and he wasn't able to do that tonight. So really another just disappointing, uninspiring loss at home for the Nuggets. This team is usually so damn good at home. It's weird to see them struggling this badly at Ball Arena with the home crowd. I don't know what else to say when it comes to why they're struggling so much at home. Doesn't make sense. They're now 6-4 at home on the season. Good thing for the Nuggets, I guess, is they've got a 4-game road trip coming up. Maybe they can figure it out on the road where they've been really good this year. So they'll play at Indiana on Wednesday. Then they go to Atlanta Friday, Charlotte Sunday, and Sacramento Thursday. So I would imagine after that Sunday game in Charlotte, they'll fly home for a couple of days and then fly out to Sacramento. But just unacceptable home losses from the Denver Nuggets tonight. Absolutely unacceptable. It's frustrating to see because this team is known for being a dominant home team throughout the years, and they are just I don't know what's going on right now with the Denver Nuggets at home. Nikola Jokic nearly had a first half triple-double, and you give up 131 points. The Nuggets offense is not a problem. It's not a problem at all. Their defense, what was a strength for the first couple of weeks of the season, has now become a liability. And, I'm trying to give them a little bit of grace on the defensive end because you are missing your 2 best defensive players, 2 starters, and Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. But the Nuggets have the guys to play good defense even without CB and Aaron Gordon. I mean, their switching right now is horrendous. We saw it in the San Antonio game, and it reared its ugly head again tonight. Their switching was terrible. They're giving up way too many wide open threes in the corner. Just absolutely awful defense from the Nuggets over the last couple of games. I mean, I thought they played okay defense in Phoenix where they did get the win, but their home defense has just been atrocious. So Adelman's got a job to do here. This is going to be a really good test for David Adelman because he's an offensive guy. I mean, he was Michael Malone's offensive coordinator. So he talked about when he took over the interim role last year, the final 3 games of the regular season and into the playoffs before he got the permanent role. He talked about how it's going to be a little different having to look at the defensive side of the ball. Well, whatever they were doing earlier on in the season was working just fine, but right now it's not working at all. And I said after the Spurs game, like, they better get in the film room and figure out what they're doing wrong on all these switches that's causing the opponent's three-point shooters to be left wide open in the corner. Like every other possession, it seems, they're being left wide open in the corner. To have that happen in a game, okay, I mean, stuff happens. I get it. But for this to now start becoming a trend, and we're seeing it game after game after game, it doesn't look like they're coaching that up very well. I mean, is it just me, or are you, everybody listening, seeing the same thing? Because it does not look like they have fixed that at all. So this is where I'm going to criticize David Adelman and say he's got to be better at coaching these guys up. Their defensive coordinator, I believe it's Jared Dudley, is their defensive coordinator. They've got to do a better job of coaching these guys up because clearly the message is not getting through. So look, it's still early on in the season. I'm not going to freak out about a 4-game losing streak at home with the injuries that have plagued the Nuggets over the last couple of weeks, but it's also concerning at the same time. I mean, this is just a team that does not do this at home. I don't remember the last time the Nuggets had a 4-game losing streak at home. It doesn't happen. So they've got to get better on the defensive end to fix this. People in the comments are saying they're not playing hard. I think they're playing hard. They're just not playing the right way on the defensive end. They're having too many mental mistakes. I think that's the problem. Like, I think their effort level has been fine. Spencer Jones tonight was playing his ass off. Hell, even at the end of the game there, he's scrapping and clawing for rebound. He's diving on the floor for a loose ball. Like, I don't think effort is the problem with this team. It's just strategy and tactics that they're employing on defense are not working. So frustrating. Yeah, and I get it. Defense is effort. That's part of it. But when you're missing rotations and having bad switches that are leaving guys wide open in the corner for open threes, to me, that's not effort. That's just bad execution. So I don't know. This, to me, that's more. It is on the players, okay? Because ultimately they're the ones that are on the court that have to go do the thing, right? But it just looks like these guys haven't even been coached up on this because it's been a problem now for several games in a row, and the same thing is still happening. Like, where's the in-game adjustments? I don't know. That's it's the first time in Adelman's tenure where I've been like, man, is he the right guy for the job on the defensive end? Because what they're doing on offense is great. I trust him wholeheartedly to run the offense. And I don't know exactly what his role is as far as the defense goes. Like, I don't know how involved he is in that. I would assume he's somewhat involved because he's the head coach. He should be involved. But to what degree, I don't know. But yeah, it's just uninspiring, weird. Like, you just never see the Nuggets struggle this bad at home, and it's unacceptable. They cannot continue to play this way at home. Nuggets fans, you deserve better efforts than we've seen over the past 4 games at Ball Arena. It was weird. After the Bulls game, I had DMAC on here, and we were talking about, the Bulls are a pretty good team. And that's what we were talking about after the game. Like, yeah, bad loss, but the Bulls are much better than we thought. And, the Bulls are a pretty good team, okay? They've got a lot of good players. But that was their first home loss. So it was like, yeah, one home loss. It happens. Move on to the next one. Then they lose at home to Sacramento, who sucks. And you give up 128 points, by the way. Then I start kind of scratching my head a little like, That's a bad loss. Like the Bulls game felt a little easier to digest. But after the Sacramento game, it was like, man, that's a bad Sacramento Kings team, which, by the way, they were missing their best player, Domantas Sabonis, in that game, if you remember. So after that game, it was like, something doesn't feel right here. Okay, then they, go to Memphis on the road, win that game by 10, feeling okay. Give up 115, not great, but not terrible. And then they come back home to play the Spurs last Friday and give up 139 points. Like that was the game where it was like, okay, this might be a big issue here. Like something is not right. And again, I get it. 2 of their 5 starters are out. And we just saw Jamal Murray go out tonight with an ankle injury. Who knows what's going to happen with him? So you potentially have 3 of your 5 starters out for the foreseeable future. Then you go to Phoenix Saturday night, win that game 130 to 112. Great game, great performance. So it's like, okay, maybe they kind of worked the kinks out. And then you get back home tonight and play a bad Dallas Mavericks team and give up 131 points. Yikes. I mean, this is a team that I've been talking about in the first couple weeks of the season. They were the number 1 defensive rated team through the first 3 weeks of the season. Number 1 rated defensive team. Best in the NBA. And then you give up 130 in the loss to the Bulls at home, 128 to the Kings at home, 139 to the Spurs at home without Victor Wembanyama, and then 131 tonight against the craptastic Dallas Mavericks. It's unacceptable. So there's got to, I hope when we hear pressers tonight in locker room stuff, guys are holding themselves accountable. That's what I want to hear from the Nuggets tonight. I don't want to hear them talk about injuries, which it is a valid excuse. I can use that excuse. I don't want to hear them use that excuse. Because they've got the guys on this team to play better defense than they're showing. They do. Period. They've got the guys to play better defense. They're not executing. I don't think it's a talent problem on that side of the ball or an effort problem. They're not executing. Their strategy on the defensive end isn't working. And maybe they do need to change up their strategy on defense because they've got 2 of their best defenders out. But that falls on the coaching staff. So let's go, coaching staff. Make some adjustments. Like, what are we doing here? I haven't seen a single adjustment on the defensive end over the last 6-7 games. Not one. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating when you know they've got the guys that can do it even with their injuries, and they're just not executing. Very, very frustrating. All right. I want to get to your comments here in a sec. I want to let Nuggets fans vent your frustration, sound off on the team. But I do just kind of want to go over the game itself tonight. And, I had this whole hey, let's praise Jamal Murray because he was awesome in November and then he gets hurt. And it's like, oh, crap. But I still do want to give Jamal Murray some flowers here just real quick. Because he was fantastic in the month of November. So Jamal Murray's numbers in November are the best of his career. He played 36 minutes a game, 23.2 points per game. That's the best of his career in November. 47.5% from the field. I believe that's from 3, actually. 4.5 rebounds per game. 4.5 rebounds per game from your starting guard is fantastic. And just over 7 assists per game. All career highs for the month of November for Jamal Murray. And it's the first time he's appeared in at least 18 games before December 1st since the 2018-2019 season. So Jamal Murray, that's what sucks about him going out tonight more than anything, is he's off to the best start of his career. Easily the best start of his career. And he's been playing great. So that was rough to see. Another thing that was just unbelievably frustrating about tonight's loss Like, the Nuggets got out to an unbelievable start in this game. They started out 15-4. Dallas has to call a timeout. Spencer Jones led the team with 8 points, shooting 3 of 3 from the field and 2 of 2 from 3. Great start. They were getting out and running. They had 7 fast break points. Midway through the first quarter, they were up 21-4 in this game, everybody. 21-4. And at that point, Spencer Jones was up to 14 points on 6 of 6 shooting from the field. Nikola Jokic in the first quarter damn near had a triple-double. 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in the first quarter. The Nuggets led this thing 41-27 after the first. They shot 17 of 26 from the field in that first quarter, 65%. And then the second quarter comes. And the defense really started to struggle. That second unit, I've been praising them all season long, deservedly so. But they were just flat out awful tonight. And especially to start that second quarter, which they've been pretty good so far this season. They were just flat out atrocious on the defensive side of the basketball in that second quarter. Then you got to bring Joker back in. He comes in around like the 5:30 mark of the second quarter. And the Mavs just continued to go on a run. They got to within 5 points at 63-58. The Nuggets just went into a lull. That's where they actually did struggle on the offensive end there. They were good offensively in tonight's game, but they had way too many stretches where they just couldn't hit anything. I mean, you score 41 points in the first quarter, and you end up with 121 for the game. That's not good. They scored 27 points in the second, 36 in the third. Okay, they actually won the third by 3 points. And they scored 17 in the fourth. Like, they got outscored 29-17 in the fourth quarter at home. That should never happen at Ball Arena. I don't care if it's the second night of a back-to-back, which it wasn't, by the way. They got outscored by 12 points in the fourth quarter. That should never happen to this team in that building. That's a problem. 29-17 in the fourth quarter. That's unbelievable. That's what the Nuggets should be doing to opposing teams in their building at altitude. How does that happen? Your bench was okay, I guess, as far as the offensive end goes. They were horrible defensively, like I said. Zeke Naji's giving them nothing. 1 point in 6 minutes. I don't even know why he's out there. I know they've got injuries, but for goodness sakes, Deron Holmes just got player of the game. What was it, last night or 2 nights ago in Grand Rapids? Damn near had a triple-double with 27 points. Why did they send him back down? I don't get that move. And Adelman could say, well, we're trying to get him playing, which, okay. I'm fine if you want to send him down to get him reps and playing games. But he should be playing games right now with the Nuggets, with all of the injuries they've had. And Adelman's been praising Zeke Naji. He's had a couple of good stretches. That's it. Why not just try Deron Holmes? Could it really be worse than Zeke Naji? That one I just do not understand. Jonas Valanciunas was okay tonight too. He had 8 points, 4 of 7 shooting in 11 minutes. Joker had to play more minutes than he normally would tonight. Tonight felt like a Joker game of the last 2 years where he's having to come back off the bench earlier than you would like to have him. In that fourth quarter, he had to come in way earlier than he normally does because the Nuggets just couldn't score. And I give credit to Bruce Brown. There was reports before the game that he was sick and not feeling great and decided to gut it out. And I actually thought he played, considering the circumstances, I thought he played all right. but he did get a tech in a very close game. Like, can't do that. Not a smart play there by Bruce. And Tim Hardaway, 6 of 12 from the field for 13 points. Not bad, but he was only 1 of 6 from 3. I mean, the Nuggets shot 32% from 3. The Mavs shot 52% from 3. Why did they shoot 52% from 3, Dan? You might be asking yourself. Because they're not guarding anybody in the corners. Their switching is terrible. They're leaving guys wide open every single time. It's the exact same thing we saw in the Spurs game. Just a really frustrating loss for the Nuggets tonight. Really, really frustrating. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. This is your chance to vent, Nuggets Nation. Yeah, this is from Marion here. Taking desperate threes. That's something I wanted to get into, Marion, so I appreciate you bringing that up. That's something else that bugged me in tonight's game. I know they were down, okay? And they were trying to claw their way back into the game. They weren't running any sort of offense. They just started jacking up threes. That's not the identity of the Denver Nuggets. Like, they still had plenty of time to just run their offense and try and get back into the game. Like, just run your sets. You've got Nikola Jokic. Let him do his thing. I mean, hell, even Joker started jacking up threes. I'm just sitting there like, just get to the rim. There's plenty of time. You need a bucket. It was almost like they were trying to make a comeback on like 3 possessions. Can't do that in the NBA. They had plenty of time, so that was frustrating too. All right, let's get to some more of your comments here. Jeremy says, unfortunately, more to come. I got to say, I'm an eternal optimist at heart, but I'm not pessimistic for the rest of the season. Like, in all honesty, I know I sound frustrated because I am, and you, so should you. Like, when this team is healthy, they are one of the best teams in the NBA on both ends of the floor. They showed that in the first 3 weeks of the season. They were the second highest scoring team in the NBA, and they were the number 1 defensive rated team in the NBA when they were healthy. But they've got to get healthy. Like, they got to get healthy, and that's just, I commend the Nuggets front office for what they did over the offseason, building depth, but your depth can only get you so far if you're having now potentially 3 of your 5 starters out for the foreseeable future. I wouldn't be surprised if Jamal Murray missed a couple of weeks at least. Now, I don't know. He could be back for their next game in Indiana. I have no idea. But those ankles are tricky. The ankles and the hamstrings are tricky deals. They're very easy to re-injure. So I hope the Nuggets are very careful with Jamal Murray and err on the side of caution. And, I commend Jamal for trying to give it a go in the second half. But once I saw him trying to run in that third quarter, I was like, dude, just go back to the locker room. Like, you're clearly not right. And you might just make it worse. Like, you should not be playing in this basketball game anymore. And, he gave it a go, and then that's exactly what he did. He went back to the locker room. All right, let's see here. YO Wolfie says, defense is hard work. Not enough players want to work at home. Defensive energy and urgency needs to be restored at Ball Arena. Like, am I missing something here? And I look, I can be wrong, okay? To me, it's not defensive energy and effort. Like I said, like, I think their energy and effort on the defensive end is fine. They're just not executing. Like, they need to change up their game plan on defense. Their switching is horrible. So I don't know. You guys tell me, am I wrong here? Like, what am I missing? Because I'm seeing the defensive energy and effort. Their tactics are a mess right now. I don't get it. But, hey, Maybe they could up their energy and effort. Maybe that is part of the problem. All right, let's see here. Nuggets defense is not concerning, it's frightening. Well, again, like I would say it's concerning, not frightening, because of what I've been talking about. When they're healthy, they've been tremendous on defense. But like I've also said, they're better than, even with AG and Christian Brown out, two of their best defenders. They have the guys to play better defense than this crap. I mean, you give up 139 points to the Spurs without Wemby and Stephon Castle. That's not good. Not good at all. All right, more of your comments here before we get out of here. Iggy says they need to be careful and not wear out Jokic like they've done the past few years. He needs to get some rest too, playing too many minutes. Yeah, well, like tonight, you're absolutely right. He did. But I will say for the most part, that's something I praised David Adelman for early on this season, is I think he's been much better with how he's utilized Nikola Jokic and how he has managed his minutes throughout the regular season. Like some examples would be Adelman's been experimenting with when he sends Nikola Jokic to the bench. Like in the Malone era, Joker always played the entirety of the first quarter. Always. There's been a handful of games this year where David Adelman has actually taken Nikola Jokic out with about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. I like that strategy. I think it's good. And then he comes back in with about 6-ish minutes to go in the second quarter. I mean, that's managing Joker's minutes pretty well. And then we've seen a bunch of games, like hell, the Phoenix game the other night. I think Joker played the entire third quarter, but he didn't come back into the game until like 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth. You never would have seen that with Michael Malone. I mean, he was back in the game at some points in the Malone era many times, where he played the entire third quarter and then Malone would call a rage timeout and he would put Joker back in with like 9 minutes left in the game. So I actually do think they're being smart with a lot smarter with Joker's minutes. But tonight was a game where it's just like, it almost felt like Adelman had to go to him earlier to try to get the offense reinvigorated, which unfortunately it didn't. So tough loss. This is just, it's uncharted territory for this Denver Nuggets team to lose 4 games at home. They started out 6-0 at home, and it felt like one of those years where they were going to win 30-plus games at home. I think it was the 2011-2012 season where they were the 3 seed in the West. They went 38-3 at home. I wasn't thinking it was going to be that type of a year, but it definitely felt like a year where it's like, okay, the Nuggets are going to get back to being a just really dominant home team. And it turns out they've been better on the road so far this year. So they're 6-4 at home. What are they on the road? I think they're 8-2. Yeah, they're 6-4 at home and they're 8-2 on the road. I would have expected those numbers to be reversed. By the way, have you looked at the Western Conference standings lately? The Nuggets have suddenly fallen to the 4 seed in the West. They've been in the 2 seed pretty much all year. Well, the Lakers have won 7 games in a row, everybody. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Houston Rockets did lose their last game, but they're also 8-2 in their last 10. So the Lakers and the Rockets have now leapfrogged the Nuggets in the Western Conference. It's where the Nuggets are the 4 seed. And guess who's right on their heels? Just a half game back. The San Antonio Spurs, who should be getting Victor Wembanyama back very soon. And then you've got Minnesota. The Nuggets are only 2 games ahead of Minnesota, who's in the 6th seed. Then you got the Suns, Warriors, Grizz, and Trailblazers to round out the top 10 in the West. The Mavs were 6-15 coming into tonight's game. Now, they were missing Anthony Davis for a lot of the year, and he's still a really good player. Never been a huge Anthony Davis fan, but he is a very good player. So that's going to help them. I mean, they're a better team with him out there, obviously. But this is I said the other night, this is a stretch where the Nuggets can really rack up some wins here in the month of December because of how the schedule works out. They don't have many back-to-backs, and they have a 2 separate stretches of having 3 days off. So they should be very well rested in the month of December. And this was a perfect opportunity for this team to kick off the month of December on a high note. And unfortunately, they were not able to do that. So tough loss for the Nuggets, frustrating. The home woes continue, and now they go on a 4-game road trip. Maybe that's what they need to do to get right. So they'll be at the Pacers, who are just awful this year and who they've already beaten this season. So they'll go to Indiana to play the Pacers on Wednesday the 3rd. Then they've got the Hawks in Atlanta on Friday the 5th. Then they go to Charlotte on Sunday the 7th. And then they end their 4-game road trip at the Sacramento Kings. That's got to be the last game they play the Kings this year. That'll be the 4th time they played the Sacramento Kings this year. And then they've got a 4-game homestand. So those are very winnable games. Those 4 road games coming up. Pacers, Hawks, Hornets, Kings. Very winnable games. But then you've got 2 games against Houston with Orlando in between, and then they finish their 4-game homestand against the Utah Jazz. So this is an 8-game stretch where the Nuggets need to go 6-2 at the worst. Better if they can go 7-1 on these next 8 games coming up. And they've got the schedule and the opponents to do that. We'll just have to obviously wait and see, what the status of Jamal Murray is and see how long he's going to be out for. So, all right, that's going to do it for the postgame show tonight, everybody. Once again, Nuggets fall to the Mavs, 131-121 is your final. Oh, by the way, just real quick, Cooper Flagg tonight. Man, does he look impressive. Wow. 33 minutes for Cooper Flagg, 24 points, 10 of 19 shooting from the field, 8 rebounds, a couple of assists. He was a plus 13. He's only 18. He looks like he's 25. I mean, that dude already has a grown man body. I thought he looked fantastic. So Mavs fans should be very excited about the future of one Cooper Flagg, the first overall pick in this summer's NBA draft. I thought he was phenomenal tonight. He has been on a tear recently. I talked about that on PhD earlier today. He's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So that's, he's going to be a problem for the next decade plus in the Western Conference. There's no doubt about that. But we'll be back on Wednesday to react to Nuggets and Pacers tip-off early game. Love these games. Tip-off is at 5 p.m. So I'll be on for the post-game show right around 7:30. So make sure to tune in to that, and we'll hopefully get updates on Jamal Murray and see where the health of this team is at. But that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. I'm Dan Tanner. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint on Altitude Sports Radio.